to the best netball podcast ever.
Ever.
I'm Carla, and I'm sad to say I'm the host who isn't currently winning our internal fantasy netball team.
And I'm Lauren, and I'm sitting pretty at the top with a gap even before second place.
And I explained to our listeners that unfortunately, yet again, Chris is still gallivanting around the world on her jolly holidays, living her best life, and unfortunately isn't with us. But we have a replacement. Some would say upgrade. I mean, I'll leave it open to you guys. We have the lovely Lauren Nicholls joining us again as my co-host today. Welcome, Lauren. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on again. I'm excited to go again. Again, Chris who? She's sacked.
Old news, right?
Yeah, I didn't realise there was holiday on this as well, so I'll book mine next week.
It's lovely to have you with us, and obviously we are hopeful that Chris will soon be back, and we do miss her.
Yeah, we do.
We have a great show planned today, Lauren. I'm going to keep you very busy. I have a whole list of topics for us to discuss. Firstly, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been really good. Again, I was driving to training one day and got a phone call and saw Carla pop up, and that made me very concerned. Panicked straight away. It's either seeing you pop up on a random phone call when it wasn't planned, or adding me to a new WhatsApp group, and both times panic sets in.
I understand.
So yeah, my week was good until then.
And now we dragged you back in the studio once again.
Yeah, here we are. I've got it.
So later on, we're going to be speaking to the lovely Reinga Bloxham all about dragons and her work over here in the UK, but also a bit about her history and her past. Until then, let's have a little chat. I've been busy this week, actually, doing a lot of work on our trials prep. We did an episode recently all about trials. We've had so much response on it. It'd be really good if we could just talk a little bit about your work in trials, your work with obviously developing players, pathways, because that's what feels like it's literally taken over my week this week.
I really enjoyed the episode, and what was really refreshing to hear was how consistent the messages were from, again, current Super League players, from current Super League coaches, from people who have been involved in pathway coach trials and also club level trials, and then also just at schools as well. So that's pretty much the whole pathway covered of experience of netballers from the whole range, and everyone's saying the same things, which is great because you don't have to overthink it. All the information was in that episode. So if you haven't listened, definitely go back and listen, because I just found that so refreshing, and just so much about just making sure you enjoy it, nailing your basics. But I loved it as it went on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just getting out there and just putting yourself forward for it's really important.
Well, I'm guessing your weekend was filled with netball as always. So what netball did you have on this weekend?
It's busy as always, yes, watching Super League games. I also actually had a really great tournament on Sunday. We went to the North West Leicester tournament, and my club actually had 5 teams entered, which is fantastic. And Lauren, I am excited to tell you about my lovely daughter, Matilda, because I was literally like the proudest parent. So a little bit of backstory, because you'll love this, because obviously you've seen her play before. But she was originally playing in just one of the teams, my team, in fact, not the top team. I'm sorry to say, because I'm old now and slow. We created a first team because our club has won this tournament the previous 5 years, and we always like to put a strong team forward to try and retain that trophy that lives on my mantelpiece, even though I haven't personally won it.
Of course.
The team manager for that particular team was like given an extra couple of players because people had pulled out. And I was like, here's the pick of the other 4 teams. Take whoever you want. And she picked a lovely girl called Hayley, who was a fantastic wing attack, and Matilda, who was 14, playing in this senior adult netball tournament. And I was like, oh, are you sure? Like, bless her. And she was like, yeah. And she's the coach for our under 16s performance team. So off she went to go and play with the big girls. And there was another couple of young 16-year-olds actually in the team that are super talented. And then she went away, a bit nervous to start. And it was really great for me because I actually got to feel like a parent, literally watching her games, because I wasn't coaching, I wasn't team managing like I do with her age group players. She did so well in the first round. She got loads of court time. She played predominantly centre, and then kind of got a bit more competitive, and she just rose to it. She played in the semi-finals and then the finals, and they won. And she played centre for both games, stayed on court all the way through.
Excellent.
I was so proud of her. And yeah, I thought I'd tell you that story.
I'm guessing then the trophy's being shined as we speak, right?
Absolutely. It's back on the mantelpiece. And I feel like a little bit more rightfully so, because actually someone in my house officially won it. So I could actually claim it, but she did so well.
I feel like those types of senior tournaments, like as a junior player, when you first get your first experience in there, really, again, that's where you learn your trade. Sometimes it will feel a bit humbling. And again, I remember one of my first times coming to play into some senior netball. Again, I'm probably a similar age, 13, 14. Just in the Dana League, actually, so Derby League that you'll know, for my home team, Pennine, and came across a team, Southgate Vets, in fact. And again, Vets. So I'm literally looking at this lady that I'm playing against, and this sounds really rude, but I'm like, hey, look, she's a grandma. I got this. And she's been playing at wing attack, I'm at wing defence. And I just thought, I would be much quicker than you. This is going to be easy. They've put me in because it's going to be an easy game. She didn't run rings around me, but just made me look stupid. The timing and the experience that she had, she'd take one step and I'm like sprinting off, being like, I've got you. And then she'd just step back and be like, present to the ball. Yeah. Or she'd use her body and like draw a contact, and I'm literally all over it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill this lady. Like, I'm going to kill the granny. But she was absolutely fantastic. And from there, I learned so much about just like smarts, and again, being really wise about how you play. It's not about being like the fastest or again, the youngest on the court. Like, it really is those smarts that make a difference. So I was humbled quite quickly, but I think I needed that experience to just show me what it was like playing at a level, at senior level. And again, the more senior games that I played, the physicality, you're playing against women now, they are much stronger than you are. Yeah, it's a really good experience, especially in a tournament. It's lovely that you're on, you're off, you have that team camaraderie all day, and you get to know players that aren't just like in your year group that you've been playing with for the last few years. So I'm really proud and pleased for Matilda. That sounds really cool.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. And I think there's so many great clubs out there getting that right, isn't there? That real balance between keeping everyone participating in netball, getting the levels right, bringing in talent, bringing in youth, working on your pathways. Our club does it really well, but I just see it time and time again. And I think as coaches, as club leads, as pathway leads, coach, whoever it is, we all need to play our part and sort of really harness the talent and the power of the game across the board. So yeah, it's great. Really good.
Yeah, completely.
Let's talk Commonwealth Games, because Chris and I and our marketing manager Bex are off to the Commonwealth Games to watch some matches. We're getting so excited. First question, are you going? Are you watching?
Well, I feel like I'm part of the team now, so I'm guessing you're going to add some more tickets on and I can come with you.
I think that could be arranged, 100%. We've got an Airbnb. Excellent. We were going to stay with Gary Burgess, but unfortunately, they didn't book him a big enough room to accommodate us all, so we're going to slum it in our own Airbnb.
He's got a suitcase full of golden whistles. He doesn't want you guys taking up his space.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I definitely hope to go up. Again, I don't know which days to go. There's obviously going to be so many good games from those group games up until the finals. I think it feels quite open for who's going to be in those, placing like top four at the end and getting through to semis and final. So I think it's going to be an exciting tournament. Obviously, with it being just in Glasgow, how exciting that we can get up and go and watch and hopefully get behind our home nations and support every game. So I will be there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if it was in Australia, I still think it would be rude not to have gone. So I probably would have got that ticket and hopped on over. But I'll go Glasgow either way.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've got some saving up to do if that's going to be the situation. But here, this pod pays well, so I'm in the game.
Well, Lauren, I know we could chat all day, but I think we better get on with the interview we have scheduled for today, which I'm very excited about. We have lovely Reinga Bloxham coming on. Before we hear from her, have you come across her? Have you played against her? What's your back knowledge of her before we go and find out some home truths about dragons and her history?
Yeah, well, I feel her form speaks for itself, like the growth of dragons, and again, the table positioning of dragons over the last couple of years has been an amazing achievement from her. And again, I'm friends with Alex Johnson, so obviously a part of the Dragons this year and last, under Curly is what they call her. And the buy-in, again, from me as an outsider and from what I hear little bits and bobs from, buy-in from the squad is excellent. And I think the sort of that Kiwi culture of we all, like, again, team first, they're really good with their analysis. So again, have court-specific analysis meetings a couple of times a week, so they'll make sure they're doing that. They have, again, some intense sessions in the gym, but their actual on-court sessions, players are like dripping with sweat within 10 minutes of the session. It is hard work, high intensity. She really brings those standards. And again, that's exactly what you see when you see them on a Saturday at the House of Sport. You're seeing that they're really fighting for every ball and playing for each other. And again, they get on so well as a group. And I think that really gets them over the line. Again, if you're in a really tight goal-for-goal game, that's camaraderie, but that also culture of we are going to do this for each other. If we're on the bench, on the court, everyone together just gets them over the line and getting those wins, or even those important bonus points that they've had this year as well, just kept them in games. And she doesn't sit down. Have you seen it as well?
It's crazy.
In the game? Like, she is a part of the team so much that she stands up and coaches. She's here and she's like, right, get closer to the court. It's, I'm waiting for a quarter time where they just go tactical and then she's on the court she's so a part of it, which is amazing. I think that's what, again, they can see the passion from her. You can't miss it. And I think it just feeds the energy of the whole room, which is amazing to see.
I love that. We will be back straight after this interview, so I'll see you very shortly, Lauren. Let's hear from the lovely Reinga Bloxham. Today's guest is someone with a huge amount of experience, insight, and honestly, when it comes to elite netball environments, we are absolutely delighted with our guest today. We welcome Reinga Bloxham to the podcast. Reinga is the head coach of the LexisNexis Wish Solution Dragons and brings a wealth of international coaching experience, including extensive time with the New Zealand system, one of the most respected and high-performing netball structures in the world. In this episode, we are excited to deep dive into the realities of our elite coaching and the difference between New Zealand game and the evolving Super League, and the challenges facing the LexisNexis Wish Solution Dragons this season, and what it takes to actually build a high-performing culture in modern netball. So wherever you're listening to, let's get comfortable and let's welcome the lovely Reinga Bloxham. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
It's really good to have you with us. Before we get going on a few questions, just talk us through a little bit of your history for our listeners. I'm sure most people know who you are and obviously your current role, but we'd love to know a bit more about you and your background.
Obviously, I have a strange accent, so I'm from New Zealand. Was involved in the ANZ coaching for, I think it was 8 seasons. So as head coach, prior to that was the assistant coach, for the Southern Steel, and have basically been around netball all my life, have coached, played, not so much been in the administration side of things, but yeah, always been involved in netball and just absolutely love it. That's why I'm still here. Still brings me joy, which is good.
Tell us a little bit about your playing career then, please.
Oh, yes. Well, up to a couple of years ago, I was still bouncing around the court, but not so much bouncing. It's more like a flat tire now. So I played many years ago, what feels like many years ago now, but played most of my netball in Southland in New Zealand, was a part of a club called Rata, and at the time had a coach and her name was Robin Broughton. So Robin was a very successful coach and she took our little club team to play in this competition. Anyway, long story short, we played in what used to be called the Coca-Cola Cup and we were one of the most successful teams, the Southern Sting we had stingrays all over our dresses. And I think I played for sort of 5 or 6 seasons. And the first season we went to the final and we lost that first year. After that, we never lost. So I think we might have won like 7 titles or something like that. I was really fortunate to be a part of a really successful team. And Robin was our coach and she sort of drove these really high standards, had a really strong work ethic, focused on doing the basics really well. She always used to say that netball was a simple game. You just had to pass catch with the ball through the hoop. She was really innovative, very creative, and she really cared about us as people, not just players. So I think there's been many a player who have been coached by Robin who are still now coaching themselves, and so her legacy sort of carries on. But my playing days was basically down in the little part of the bottom of the South Island in New Zealand, and it all started down there. I used to be a part of a club that my mum used to help run. That's how I first got into netball as a 5-year-old, and we used to go off to a netball tournament. And I think I just used to like wearing the netball skirt, to be honest, and playing with my friends and cousins and things like that. So I have had a long history of netball, so being involved from 5, and now I'm not 5. And then after I finished playing, I was coaching and playing at the same time, moved into a bit of coaching, but kind of preferred to be in the background of the coaching. Definitely never imagined that I would be head coach of anything because I'm actually very introverted and quiet, away from a netball court, obviously. So that was my playing days, and still actually really enjoy playing alongside friends, which is why I still was playing until I came to Wales. And now I think it's time to sometimes I think I can still play, but I just don't think my knees would allow it.
Bless you. What position did you play?
I was a centre wing defence. If you have seen me shoot, you will know why I don't go anywhere near the shooting circle. I'm very poor shooter. Kind of when we play buckets at training, I have to sort of chest pass the ball in. I can be quite accurate, but it's not very pretty to watch.
My questions were around kind of what pulled you into coaching. I'm getting the feeling that was probably inspired by your coaching mentor that you've had. Is there a certain part of New Zealand netball culture that still influences your coaching now and what you do on court?
Very much so. I think the culture of netball, I suppose, coaching in New Zealand, I think we're really lucky in New Zealand. There's lots of great coaches all over the place, as there are in other parts of the world, don't get me wrong. When I was coaching for the Southern Steel, when I first moved into the high performance part of coaching, I was coaching my school team at the time, so a bunch of 7-year-olds. On a Tuesday night, I was helping coach a club team, and I was still playing back then, but I had done some rep netball, which is probably the equivalent to counties. I sort of had done some performance coaching, but not a lot. Janine Southby at the time, who used to be the Silver Ferns coach before Nolene, she was the coach of the Southern Steel, and she had rung me up and asked me if I'd want to come along to some training to help out. So I sort of fell into the coaching role that way. But I think over my years as the head coach of the Steel, we had a really strong ANZ coaching cohort, and it sounds really odd when I say this story to other people, but we worked really closely together off the court to help improve the game. So when we were out of season, we did a lot of planning together with the ANZ coaches and also with Nolene to really try and create a brand of netball that we knew was specific to New Zealand, specific to the players that we had in New Zealand. We really looked at skill set, we looked at professional habits, we looked at strength and conditioning programs, but we did it collaboratively together. And I think that's sort of a little bit odd when you then go into competition against each other. But I think that was part of what helped us keep building our skill set as coaches, help us be really competitive on the court and also off the court, and sort of helped grow our game. So I feel really lucky to have worked alongside a lot of other coaches, and it's given me lots of tools in my toolbox to take forward. The other thing about coaching in New Zealand is we were given lots of great opportunities and always invited in to the Silver Ferns environment. I had plenty of opportunities when I was back there, either as observing or coaching New Zealand A or going along to Silver Fern trials and things like that. So I think there's a specific style of play that the Kiwis play, which is obviously they like to play off the body, you know, when people talk about the wall or the zone, things like that. I've been able to sort of bring some of that skill set here to Wales and then try and embed that in what we're doing. But I also think it's really important not to lose the identity of the people that you're also coaching. So it's kind of trying to add value to what's already there.
Well, that leads really nicely into sort of understanding that translation across the continent. So how much of New Zealand's coaching style and the philosophy that you're talking about has now come into your coaching as you've moved over to coach the Dragons?
Yeah, I think a lot of it does. I think there's things that I still really hold on to. There's a lot of personal, probably values in the way that I do things that are very unique to myself, but probably a little bit Kiwi as well. But if I think back to the first ever meeting I had with my players and staff when I came to Cardiff last year, it's called a mihi whakatau is what it's called, and it's basically a welcome. So I had said to the players that this is what we were going to do, and I wasn't really sure how it was going to be received because obviously I was in their country, but it was really well received. I held the first day as if I was in New Zealand. That's exactly how I would do it, and I welcomed everyone into the room. We went around, we greeted each other. We did a hongi, which really put people out of their comfort zone. So hongi is when you press noses and you breathe in each other's breath, and it's it's a really intimate thing to do, and it put people in a really uncomfortable place. And I think they were thinking, oh my Lord, what is she doing to us? But what I found from that is I sort of just put myself out there and said, this is who I am. I'm not just a netball coach, but this is the culture that I come from. These are my values, and this is what I want to bring to you. And I tried to also embed like some Welsh and things like that, just to make sure that it was really important to me that I'm coming here, but I understand the landscape that I'm going to be working in. So that was my first ever session with them. And as we got to know each other, I think they reflect back and they were like, remember that time and we had to do that and we had to press noses and, and they sort of talk about it. But for me, it was really important that they understood where I was coming from and that I would have a different perspective of the game. So that's sort of how I laid the foundations of coming into the room. And then I just poured it onto them and said, I'm not here. I have not left my family halfway across the world just to come here and participate. I'm actually here to win. So that's where I started sort of trying to embed that performance culture into everything that we did.
I absolutely love that. I can just picture it. It's brilliant. When we asked our listeners, actually, when they knew that we were going to be doing this interview today, the most common question was all around sort of how you kind of ended up here. Why Wales? What happened? How did that sort of conversation begin? Did somebody approach you? Did you approach them? We'd love to know more.
It is an interesting story. I think the last World Cup, which was back in 2023, and it was in South Africa, and I was a part coaching in New Zealand. Part of our coaching framework was to look at professional development opportunities. And I had put in my plan probably for the previous 5 years that I wanted international experience. And every year I sort of revisited it and I kept putting it in there. And our coach lead at the time, who was very innovative, she was like, right, how can we do this differently? And they'd sent other coaches to the World Cup to do coaching courses and observe. But she thought, right, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. And so she contacted a few different countries and said, how would you like a coach who you could use as an observer or however basically you want to use them? There was some funding available and they were going to fund us as coaches going along. So it ended up being myself and Yvette McCausland-Jury, who just coached the Silver Ferns last year when they came to England. So it was her and I, and Yvette was attached to Fiji, and I was either going to be attached to Sri Lanka or Wales. And I thought at the time, I think Wales might be a better option because I think otherwise there could be some language, cultural barriers that I would really have to put myself out there. So the prospect of being involved with Wales sort of popped up. And my dad's actually English, so he was born in London. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if I go to Wales and then I'd be able to link in with some of Dad's family? And that's sort of how it came about. And Wales were really open to the opportunity. So I ended up coming to Wales for, I think it was like 5.5 weeks before World Cup, doing all of the preparation phase. And then I went to the World Cup with Wales. Then I went home and I thought that was an amazing opportunity and one I was so grateful for and didn't really think much of it. I was sort of coming to the end of my time with the Steel, and I'd had a couple of years where we were losing. We had just injury after injury. And I thought, as a coach, you have to be very self-aware of where you are in the world. And if you're not getting results, you're probably going to get kicked out. So I thought, what could I do? What else do I want to achieve? And coming overseas was always one of my goals, and particularly to the UK, because I wanted to experience Dad's part of the family as well, so the Bloxham side of the family. So I thought it might link in quite nicely, and the opportunity just popped up. Because I had the link from the World Cup, they were looking for a coach. They put it out there. I had actually applied for a couple of other jobs in New Zealand, like quite top jobs, and I had an interview or two for those and I didn't get them. And so I thought, right, I'm going to do this. It was a good time for me of where I am in my life. And so here I am in Wales for my second season.
It's crazy to think that decision could have been anywhere in the world, I guess, couldn't it? You just don't know what's going to happen or where life's going to lead you.
Yeah, I think the other thing is when you want to be a high performance coach, you actually really have to think about the opportunities available to you. So obviously in New Zealand, there's only 6 teams. Here in the UK, there's 8 teams, in Australia. So there's not a lot of opportunity to be a paid coach. And so when it popped up, I thought, right, I'm going to do this.
So let's talk a little bit about Dragons. Obviously, it's been an interesting season so far. We're not finished and we're really excited to see where it's going. And I'm not going to lie, I am a huge fan of Dragons. I think for me, it feels like it's been sort of almost everyone's second favourite team. If you might have a team that you support where you live or where you're from. but it seems to be such a popular team this year. So far, what's been your sort of biggest challenge coming into this season off the back of last year?
Yeah, look, I think off the back of last year for me there was a lot of learning just around the competition, how it was run, learning the players, coaches, bus travel, all of that sort of stuff. There is always plenty of challenges when you're coaching. And I think the toughest challenge is trying to get the best out of your players when you know that there's a lot of potential there. So for me, it's about raising that performance culture. I wanted us to be more than just participants. I wanted us to be competitive. So last year when I said to you, when I had that first meeting, I was very clear about why I had come. I hadn't just come here for a jolly. I wanted to make sure that we were a serious contender. So after all my learnings last year, I thought, right, what is it that we need to do? So it was just still about being clear with the expectations, clear with the standards, really clear about the culture that we were trying to create, making sure that the girls knew what their role is on the court, having clarity in that, being able to loop back to it. And yeah, so I think for me, the challenge has been around making sure that I don't lose sight of what we're trying to create. And what I'm trying to create is really raising that performance standard. And I think that's been the biggest shift that we've had for us as a team. Last year, we obviously only won a couple of games, bottom of the table. We worked really hard off the court. We worked really hard in training, but we didn't quite understand what it took to perform. And I feel like there's a really strong understanding of the physical and the mental side of things, and it's just sort of starting to connect.
What do you find harder? Is it the tactical coaching element or the building the belief for the team?
Great question. I think they can equally be as hard. I really enjoy the tactical side of things. Like I love unpacking it, breaking it down, looking at the skill set that you have within your team, looking at the strengths that you have within your team and trying to really promote that. But I think alongside that, you have to create this sense of confidence and belief. And I think when you can get that buy-in and when you can see results, then the other side sort of starts to build as well. So, yeah, I think they're equally important.
What does success actually look like for Dragons this season?
That is the hardest thing. When you're in a performance environment, success often looks like winning. It often looks like results. But I have been in environments where I haven't won a game all season, so you can't just hang your hat on that. You have to make sure that you're really clear about what success looks like. Success looks like, for me, making sure that I break it down every week so that we are achieving something each week and there's incremental things happening each week. So it could look like you doing a centre pass that you haven't done before and it coming off in the game. It could look like your centre pass to score being improved. It could look like one of your younger players getting some court time. It could be selling out the stadium. It has to be more than just the result of a netball game. So for me, success is about the whole package. It's about building great netball players, but even better people. I think that to me is the biggest thing. The other thing that is really important to me in my personal values is making sure that people who come into my environment leave with more than they came with. Tonight we had training and I had 5 under 19-year-old Dragons pathway players who looked very nervous when they walked in the door, but I think when they left they were just beaming. We had a conversation. I said, "Did you enjoy that?" "Yes." "What did you learn?" They gave me something each. So I think that to me is success. It doesn't always just have to be about winning.
That makes so much sense. I think it's underestimated, isn't it, to set those objectives, and yeah, what you're doing is certainly working. So in terms of your role, obviously you're head coach of the Dragons. How much involvement have you had in the kind of pathway process, the structure of Wales netball? How aligned is the pathways in netball to go through the process into a Super League club?
Yeah, I think for me that's probably the bit that I've been able to jump into more this season now that I sort of worked it out. It took me a little while, to be honest, to work out the pathway and what does NPL stand for and NSL stand for. You know, there's always these acronyms that people speak in, and sometimes I was like, I'm getting so confused by all these letters. However, I feel like after last season, it was really important to me to understand the pathway, what it looked like, how players got onto the pathway once they were there providing some stability and also some alignment from our under 17s all the way through to NSL. And it was really important for me that the players understood where they sat and how they get from here to here. So I have, if you talk to some of my players and even the management group, they understand I'm a little bit of a control freak. So I like to have my hands on things. So I sort of went out to everything. I got involved. I went to trainings. I went to trials. I travelled to London with the team and did things like that, just so I knew exactly what they were dealing with and what the landscape looked like. And then I got the coaching cohort together along with our pathway lead, and we just broke it down of what we wanted to achieve as a club and what success looked like. So for us, success looked like making sure that we were raising our performance standard, because obviously our club, we didn't even win many quarters last year throughout the whole club. So what was really important is that we started winning quarters and that we were being successful there, that we had more depth in the players that we were looking for. So yeah, I'm very much hands-on, very much involved in it, and like to be visible. It was really important for me that we all trained on the same night so that that young under 17 player could see Georgia Rowe walking in the door, Beth Dyke, and I think it's really important that you've got to see it to be it. So we train on a Tuesday night and everyone is in the same building together. So, and then I would stay and just pop in and sit on the side of the court, quite often looking a little bit weird and creepy, I suppose. But it was just about having that visibility so that those players feel like I'm invested in the club and not just in my own team.
I love the "you've got to see it to be it" quote. That's a great example of making a big difference. So still focused on that sort of talent and those pathway. What habits instantly stand out to you from netball players as you're watching?
I probably am drawn to players who are hardworking. I always look at work rate, work ethic. I also love a bit of razzle dazzle on the court, to be honest. If somebody's threading the needle or they can feed the ball on a dime, I love that sort of stuff. Yeah, skill set is really important. Just how they're passing, catching, turning is so boring. It sounds really awful, actually, as I'm saying that. But when I watch a netball game, I often look at the skill set side of things rather than just the result of stuff, I suppose. But I think I have a different lens when I watch games compared to other people, but I'm sure all coaches do.
Hopefully you can still enjoy a good game without seeing it through that coach's perspective. Can attitude outweigh talent?
Yes, it can. I definitely think it can, in a positive and a negative effect. But I always think when you have a group of, I look at the 10 contracted players, and I think when you're building a team and you're putting them together, you don't want clones. You don't want them all to be the same. So I think sometimes having a little bit of attitude to match somebody's talent is actually quite nice because it gives you that point of difference. And I think the key thing for me in that is being able to build the relationships with those people to understand what makes them tick so that you can see the potential and how you get the best out of it, because some of the best players in the world are so super talented and they might even have a little bit of attitude, being at a good attitude or a negative one. But I think sometimes you just need something like that to give you a point of difference in your team.
It makes perfect sense. What is the harsh truth that young athletes sometimes need to hear, do you think? We're delving deep here.
Yeah, and I can be a little bit savage sometimes. So I hear from Alex Johnson always says that to me. What's the harsh truth? I think that this is a hard one for me to answer because sometimes I'm a little bit too honest about things. So I think the harsh truth sometimes is just being as honest as you can.
To the actual truth.
Yeah, it is the truth, but you don't want to crush people. So it's about making sure that you don't sort of tear people down, that you're always thinking about it critically and you want to come from a place of caring and a place of, I always come from a performance lens. So when I'm delivering good or bad, whatever information, I always think, right, I need to come from a performance lens. What is going to make this person better? But I think hearing the truth can be hard sometimes. But I also think as coaches, it's our job to make sure that we see the full potential of somebody and that everyone has got room to keep growing. So even if it is a little bit harsh and it's a little bit tough, you have to give people opportunities to make sure that they can show you the best side of things, I suppose.
Now, are you ready for some quick fire questions? Top of the head, don't overthink it, just
Okay.
try and answer. Favourite area of the court to coach?
Mid-court.
The toughest player you've coached?
Maybe Jane Watson.
The best leader you've seen on court?
I've got two. I'm going to say Bethan Dyke, and I'm also going to say Wendy Frew, who is now the coach of the Steel, but she was my captain when I coached her.
Most underrated role on the court?
Wing defence.
One rule you'd like to get rid of in netball?
The defence not being able to go out of court, that silly one when you don't quite have your foot wholly in the centre circle. Yeah, there's a few of them.
Biggest coaching pet peeve?
Oh, I don't know, actually, to be honest. I think something that probably would annoy me is if I think people aren't trying.
So lack of effort.
Yeah.
Favourite NSL venue to play in?
Has to be House of Sport because the crowd is right behind you and it's very intimate and it's loud and it's home.
What player would make a great coach?
Liam Middleton.
One word for Dragons so far this season?
Maybe surprising to some people.
Ooh, love that. That is all my questions. You have been an absolute star. We are very grateful for your time and your insight into the game. And it's just so fascinating to hear that correlation between, obviously, your life in New Zealand and your life over here in not so sunny Wales.
Thank you.
We'll be watching the rest of the season. Obviously, Dragons are off the back of 2 wins. Ready for the weekend?
Absolutely. We won another one. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be there and we can't wait for the match. So good luck. Well, that was fab, Lauren. I feel like a part of their team. I'm going to get myself some kit. I'm invested. I already love them anyway. And I just think this makes me love them more. And I want to actually call her Curly, but I didn't dare.
Yeah, no, you definitely should have done. I think she'd have liked it. Again, I feel like, her passion, how open she is, it's just so clear to see. And she really invested and put some great work into what Dragon's done over the last couple of years. And I think the listeners will feel that. And again, we'll be going out to buy their Dragons merch at the same time.
Absolutely. Well, in Krystine's honour, I don't know if she's going to kill me here. She doesn't know I'm doing this part. I don't know how this is going to land, but I actually have some agony aunt questions and I feel like these are coming your way, Lauren.
Oh, wow. I feel honoured, but also quite scared. Chris is quite a scary lady on and off court. I don't know.
I get it. She's not here. Like, there's no one reining us in. I just say we do it and we face the consequences.
Better to ask for forgiveness, right?
Exactly. And let's be clear here, we're less likely to get sued with the answer you give us than if Chris does it. So really, the risks are in our favour.
This is true. Okay, let's go for it.
It's time for...
Agony! Aunt.
So this is from one of our listeners. My daughter's 13 and absolutely loves netball, but she keeps getting awful blisters on her feet after training and tournaments. We've tried different socks and plasters and they just come back and it's really affecting her confidence and enjoyment because she's just in pain every session. She doesn't want to miss netball. She's got trials and tournaments coming up, but I'm worried she's pushing way too much. That's from Sarah in Coventry. That's quite sad, isn't it? Bless her.
Yeah, it is. And I think what I'd start with again is maybe just look at how much she's loading on the court and how much she's on court in a week. I think netball does have this issue sometimes, thinking that more is better and that you've got a session every night of the week when actually it's just a lot of loading and a lot of impact on your feet. So I think having a look at her week, but also look at then month, year. Am I going to start singing here?
Do it.
But I feel like looking at her whole schedule and thinking, is this appropriate? Age appropriate for how much she needs to be on the court. And if you're not sure about that as a parent, as it is tough for parents because you get all these invites for club and whatever else and you think, amazing, she's going, I want to go. Speak to the club coaches, speak to if they're in the franchise, speak to school. They'll have the information and work out where she's accessing the top level of netball and then where she can taper off and have a little bit of time off court generally. In terms of the actual feet and what can be done, maybe again, advice from a podiatrist, from a physio, if there's anything else that they haven't tried yet in terms of socks, plasters, trying to take a little bit of moisture away from your feet. And, some people have quite sweaty feet. I've had teammates with similar issues that blister and their feet are horrendous by the end of the season, not summer ready in the slightest because of the toll it's taken. So I think, having a little bit more, having a look at what that looks like over the whole season and then also getting a bit of advice would help.
I can guarantee Chris would have been off on a tangent about her own feet by that point. And I can confirm that she has the smelliest feet ever. So she probably does suffer with your moisture reference for sure.
Yeah.
It's the only explanation I can come up with. I mean, I picked this particular question, because it kind of echoes numerous messages we've been sent in recently. I mean, not exactly the same, but things like my knees hurt or my hands are sore. Like, it's a common sort of physical thing. And I think it's, if we could kind of say like things like the load issue, how much are you playing, it really could help. And I think that would answer other people's similar related type problems. And I just think as well, I would like to add, just be kind to yourself. Like, if you're in pain and you're hurting, like, take a minute, because
that's exactly what I was going to say. Listen to your body.
Yes.
Really listen. It's silly
shouting, isn't it? It's literally your body shouting at you. This is painful. This hurts, and I just feel
for her. This is telling me to stop. Yeah, listen to your body, have the rest when it's needed, and then come up with some solutions to be able to withstand the pressures needed, but without running yourself into the ground, without having in so much pain with either, say, knee issues, sweaty feet issues, whatever it is. I think it's really important just to take those cues and respect them.
Yeah, agreed. Let's do another one, because she's still not here and we're already in trouble. We might as well go twice the pain.
We're chancing it.
I'm a junior player currently thinking about trialling for a different club, but I feel really guilty about it. My current club and my friends are all there, but I'm just not sure I'm being challenged enough or developing as much as I want to. I'm nervous people will think I'm being disloyal, especially because netball often feels like a sport where people talk between each other. How do you know when it's the right time to move clubs, and how do I handle it without upsetting my friends? That's from Hattie. She hasn't said where she's based. Oh,
Hattie, yeah, no, I understand that. But I think you got to keep considering like what you're playing for. And again, it sounds like she's wanted a bit more performance-based and a bit more push for her own performance, but then also like maybe looking at a bit of a pathway later on down the line, or trying to maybe get into county if she's like around that sort of age. Yeah, enjoyment is important at every level. So again, we're saying that to Super League players, you still need to enjoy what you're doing, even though this is now your professional full-time job. If you're not enjoying it, like, it's obvious on the court you're not enjoying it. It's obvious when you come into the training ground, or if you come to the gym, that you're not enjoying it. So I think definitely go for the trial, but maybe a conversation with the coach of your current club and just like sort of explaining those, that it's not a disrespect thing. It's you've really enjoyed it, and this is where you've reached your like ceiling with this club, and your friends are still there, but you want to be able to push a bit more, and that's not currently something that they offer at this club. It could be that they are playing in a local league, and then they other club have got their juniors into a regional. So that's where there's an opportunity to play at that level. So I definitely think go for the trial, speak to your coach first and just explain why you're interested in it. And all reasonable coaches and clubs will understand that. More of a red flag at your own club if they're saying, no, we want to hold on to you, you need to play for us, you've played for us since you were 3 years old. That's actually not great. Like, clubs don't own players the same way that Super League, we don't own those players. We don't own them. You definitely don't own them as juniors either. You've got to be able to say that it's right for them. Are they like happy and healthy wherever they are? And if happy and healthy looks like I want to push myself a bit more, go and do that at that level. And you can obviously still be friends with all those players and maybe play with them outside every so often, or again, they might be school level as well that they get to play with. You want a bit of netball where you can like still be the top one and just enjoy it. But yeah, definitely go and trial. Don't worry about what people are saying. Like, actually have those conversations openly and say, I'm being really ambitious and this is what I believe I can do next, and people should back it.
That's pretty impressive advice, Lauren. We're not in trouble here. There's no way. Chris can say what she likes, but we've just nailed that. I would like to add though, firstly, I'm super impressed that that's a junior. I mean, she obviously hasn't said how old she is, but she must be under 16 to have said, I'm a junior player. How impressive that she's messaged herself, firstly. Normally, obviously, you'd expect parents to come and handle that. So full marks for getting out of your own comfort zone as a junior and asking that question. And yeah, for my experience, I mean, my daughter, 14, went to trial, which we told her own coach in our own club. She went to trial for a different club recently. And what I loved was when we were at that trial, the coach that was doing like a little parent talk to the people that were trialing said, please go to your make sure you go to your club, your current club, and explain why you're trialing, whether you're looking to move clubs, whether you're looking to play for 2 clubs, whatever your circumstances are. And I thought that was brilliant because that was the new club saying like we know you're here, but it's a small world, isn't it? People do talk, and I think it's a really mature attitude that A, she contacted someone to ask for advice on it, and that B, she's obviously got the maturity to understand that might happen. So really impressive.
Yeah, I think, as you say, that first half of them being mature enough to ask the question themselves, the more that players, and again, I know we're not specified how old between like junior to 16, but once you are getting to that top end, sort of like under 15, 16, the more that you can take a bit more accountability in your own play, in your own performance, again, having those questions with coaches, it's really important. I think it then will lead into you being much more comfortable having those conversations later on down the line. And again, obviously I'm involved in a next gen team, which then is like the first time it's like from under 19 where parents are still a little bit involved, whereas now we're sort of cut off and this is more professional. They don't have their parents to go to say, oh, can you ask Lauren why I didn't play today? It's those conversations that they've got to start having and saying, this is what I think, and coming with their own opinions and thoughts as well. And again, all reasonable coaches will have that to and fro. That it's okay, well, I saw this, you've seen this, and let's think about what we could do either in the scenario again, or again, you're going to have to back what my final decision was. So again, they might be looking at that with their club and speak about where they're seeing their play go at their current club and say, actually, I see that I can do X, Y, Z at this new club. And they should be saying, yeah, completely back it. And yeah, having that maturity is a really good practice at that age. So yeah, hats off to you. Well done.
Absolutely. Well, let's leave the rest of the questions for now. We have been pretty inundated in the last couple of weeks, actually, but I worry that's because people just want to get on the show, not because they actually want Chris's advice. We'll come back to another time.
Yeah, can we find out a poll of people who have taken said advice? That's what I want to know.
That's a good point, yeah. And for the 2 we've talked to today, come back to us. Tell us what happened. Yeah, definitely. Love to hear again.
I want the final story.
I think that is all we've got time for today, Lauren. Again, thank you for your time. We are very grateful. And I'm very sure we will be seeing you again, regardless of whether Chris decides she's ready to return from her holiday, which is still, is she really on holiday? Has she been arrested? I don't want to start rumours. Let's leave it there.
I don't want to start rumours, but I've not seen her on the WhatsApp chats. I've not seen her out at any games recently. I do wonder whether she's actually been arrested. And it's her past is caught with her. I don't know. She's quite open with her words, isn't she? So it's caught with her. But no, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for having me on. Again, real fan of the show from obviously when you had that first show and got me on and have wangled me back on 2 or 3 more times since then. I do really enjoy it and love listening to who you get on and how you guys present it. So well done, and really proud of what you've achieved so far and how it's going to keep being the best netball podcast ever.
Oh, thank you. Love that. I want to say a huge thank you to our sponsor, Akuma, for backing this excellent podcast. They have some awesome kit on their website. Go and check them out, akumasports.com. Please follow, share our podcast to help us keep creating this awesome content. And all the information from today's episode is in the magic show notes. You can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or email.
TikTok.
Yeah, that's an old joke. I said it wrong once and then Chris has left it as that ever since. Yeah.
I must have missed that. I just thought you were just being really old. And
she wouldn't even take it out of the edit when I screwed it up the first time. She just drew loads of attention to it. So now we just left it in. So it's TikTok.
I could just listen to that and just not even noticed before. That's hilarious.
Or you can email us at thebestnetballpodcastever@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.